I have been really enjoying Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've played all of the Animal Crossing games and it's so exciting to finally have a new one, and it's so much fun. One thing that's been in all of the games and is the subject of quite a few memes lately is the black bass. The infamous black bass. It's the most common fish in the river. It has a big shadow, so you get excited that you're gonna catch something really cool and worth a lot, and then it's just a black bass and it doesn't sell for very much. So why are we catching so many black bass? Why are they everywhere? Well, it turns out it's inspired by real life. And we get a hint of that real life story when you donate the black bass to the museum. By the way, the writing for Blathers in this game is just phenomenal, coming from a science person. All the little details they put in there about real life science and real life debates that are going on, especially in paleontology. So fun. Blathers will tell you that in some parts of the world, black bass is a common sport fish, and in others, it is an invasive species. An invasive species is a non-native species that is so successful at surviving in its new habitat that it actually outcompetes the native species for things like food and space. This can cause native populations to decline and throw off the whole balance of the ecosystem. Some famous examples you may have heard of are lionfish, cane toads, starlings, and the emerald ash borer. As you can see, many different types of species can be invasive, even plants, but what they all tend to have in common is that humans are what introduced them to their new habitat. For example, cane toads were introduced to Australia as pest control, and then they became the pest themselves. The black bass is also called the largemouth bass, and they're native to the United States. That's where I live. They're highly sought after by anglers as a game fish, and apparently they're known for vigorously resisting being caught. Might be why we feel that strong rumble when we're catching bass in Animal Crossing. The fish was so popular that it was purposefully introduced to other countries as a sport fish, and that totally backfired on the ecosystem. As Blathers would say, they've become an ecological nuisance. Is that my Blathers voice? They're outcompeting and outnumbering native species, even driving some to extinction. One of these countries is Japan, which is of course home to Nintendo and the creators of Animal Crossing. Black bass were introduced to Japan in 1925, and they are thriving, which is good for anglers, but not so good for native species like crucian carps, freshwater gobies, and bitterlings. I feel like I've heard of those. Here in the US, we have catch and release measures in place to help protect the native species and sustain their populations. While in Japan, anglers are often encouraged to kill their catch when it comes to black bass. I think that's so interesting how differently this species behaves depending on which environment it's in. And of course, people are always the problem. Blathers hints at that too. I really like Blathers. Why am I pointing at you? Blathers, if you're watching this, you're a good owl. So we're kind of doing the world a service by taking all those black bass out of the river on our islands. There's clearly an overpopulation problem, and we are the solution. So that's the real world reason that we are catching so many black bass in Animal Crossing. This video was a lot of fun, so I hope to do more videos like this with other real animals that are in Animal Crossing's Critterpedia, or fossils. Fossils could be fun too. So leave a comment if you have any suggestions, and I'd love to read them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.